battles unfold on the table. Let's expanse miniature warriors in a strategic dance. 15 millimeters of intricate design, a world of conflict in a scaled down line. Terrain crafted with precision and care. Armies maneuver under watchful glare. Dice roll to decide the fate of the day.
Okay, guys. I have blocked every piece. I shook out the excess. I sat it down. I'm letting it dry. Oh, it's already dry. This has been like 12 hours ago when I finished. So this has been drying for 12 hours. But I wanted to point something out. On camera, I looked at it on my monitor anyway, I should say. All this green looks the same. It looks very samey on the camera. I even tried adjusting like saturation and contrast and things like that to try to get it to be realistic on the screen. I failed. There's probably a setting, I'm not exactly sure what it is, but I want to point out that I tried 4 different blocks. We started with this Woodland Scenics 2mm medium green. And with this medium green, I quickly realized that I was going to run out. So I decided to switch it up. After I used a good amount of it, I decided that I was going to switch up and start using this 2mm light green, which again, kind of alternating and deciding, what's going to be what. I realized I was going to run out of that as well if I continued, right? And I didn't want to run out. I wanted to retain some of it for figures or future projects. So I grabbed my WW Scenics North European. This WW Scenics, I had almost a full tub. So I said, there's no way I'm going to run out of this, which I didn't. But I finished up probably half of the models, half of the terrain pieces were actually the Northern European. And the first half is a split between this Woodland Scenics medium green and light green. Now, I don't know if you can see this piece here. This is light green. That's light, and I don't know if the color is coming through with the glare from the lighting or whatever, but this was the light green, which I liked it quite a bit. And I put light green on top of the light brown, but I also put it on the dark brown. And I did a little bit of variety. Like I took the medium green, I put it on the dark, but I also put it on the light. Same thing with the Northern European. So what I need to do now is grab a box and use my soft paintbrush here. I've got a soft bristle paintbrush, and I'm going to knock off all of the... So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do most of this off camera so that you don't have to watch me do it. But I'm just basically going to knock off any of the loose block. into the box here. You can see how flexible this is. You can see there's a little extra block in there that gets knocked off. Okay, what I want to do is clear off a space and then start stacking it. So let me go ahead and keep going. And what I'll do is once I get everything knocked off, I'll come back and we'll do a comparison of my two river pieces and how they lay on the table. Okay, give me a few minutes. All right, I got it all picked up. I got all the terrain that I worked on over the last week in this box. All of it's in there. Let's go ahead, except for the river. What I did was I rolled up the river to give it a little bit of a curl because I want it to compete with my rubber river. And we're going to go ahead and lay both of these out. Now this river was rolled backwards, okay, so that it would give, and it's been rolled up for a couple of weeks now. No, I guess not. Maybe 1 week. And I put the wax paper on there to assist with the so it didn't stick. It's laying pretty okay. This edge you really don't need to worry about because that's off the table. But this is the edge that you have to worry about because of it's where the gameplay is going to happen. Okay, there's a little bit of a bump right there. Not much. It's laying pretty flat. I'm actually pleased with that. I'm very pleased with it actually. All right, so now let's lay out the other river. This is the one that I did with felt. That one was actually neoprene. Look at that. Okay, now it's up, but I can see it naturally just starting to fall into place. And then again, if I had rolled it the other way, like I did this, it would be a fair fight. Okay, so let's roll it backwards. Nice and tight. Not too tight. I'm not, and then I could just slap a rubber band on that because it's not going to stick because I did not use the water texture on this one. Turn it around. Boom. Okay, it laid perfectly flat. And the edge is down all the way across. Okay, both of these work really well the way I rolled them. I'm going to have to roll it with the image out Now on this one, I have to use wax paper to protect it. Okay, but they both work. This one is obviously, it's definitively thicker. You can actually see the thickness, the rise. On this one, it's very thin because of the felt. You're going to have to make a decision on that, which one you like best. Okay, so now before I finish this video, I wanted to kind of just touch on a few things. One of them is this right here was all of the excess that I was able to shake off and brush off and recover. So that's actually quite a bit of block that I was able to recover. Now that block, I put it in a new bottle because it's a mixture. It's got the light green, the medium green, and the European. Another thing I wanted to point out was I tried using the Woodland Scenics olive drab. I thought I'd try a little bit of that because I've got quite a bit of it. It would not come out of the shaker bottle. I was shaking like a madman, and it would only come out a little bit at a time. So I put it away. I said I'm not going to use it. Okay, this is the lake piece that I made, and I added a little flock to the little island mistake that I made, and I think that looks pretty good. I was thinking I might put some bushes on there, but I'm not sure if I want to do that or not. But I could if I wanted to. These are the gully pieces with the raised area and the foam. A large piece, and then there's the smaller one. The fields with their ruts in them. And what I did with all the fields was I went around 100% around the outer edge to give it a boundary. Right now you can see these are laying perfectly flat, and they're nice and flexible, and they flat. Little ones. These are all definitely optional size pieces. You know, the woods. We don't need to lay them all out. Then I've got like a medium size, right? You can see that it's a little bit larger. The smaller fields and woods are just over 3 base widths, because 3 is the minimum, but not the maximum, right? So I made them about 3.5 or just under 3.5, just to give them that, just so that they would fit. Now, one of these woods, it might be this one, I thought I saw the edges kind of curling up, but all you have to do is give it a little bit of a counter curl, and they lay flat. And then again with the mid-range, the fields, I went ahead and did 100% around the outer edge on all the fields. Okay. Now I got these out because I was kind of wanting to count them. And then I got the bigger ones, the compulsory ones, nice and flexible, you know, in all directions. Lay it out. Remember, it's made of stiff felt, acrylic latex, texture paste. and then a static grass flock. Finally, I made this giant field right there, plowed field. Same type of texturing around the outer edge. Okay, so now I got this out because the whole reason why I made these were for my various mag battles, right? And I needed to see under very dense what I'm going to potentially need. I did a little test earlier to see exactly what I needed. Plus I've got the stiff boards as well that I can always pull out. But I made these to replace those stiff boards. Even though I still have a stiff board field I'm going to use. Plus I've got an orchard and a vineyard and a village and a town. Those are all, and then of course the lake and stuff. Okay, so let's take a look here. Very dense with a secure flank. Potentially, if you don't use the river, could use woods or rough or rocky ground or whatever, and that would basically be 2 compulsory size terrain pieces. Now usually one player is going to take the maximum size compulsory piece, and your opponent will take the minimum size compulsory piece. That's a potential. Or your opponent you'll take the minimum, and they will also take the minimum, so you'll need 2, or you'll both take the maximum. Okay, so just getting those out of the way. Those would be the maximum possible use of the secure flank. And then when you go to very dense, you need 2 rough or open. We're just going to call it rough because we're trying to maximize the terrain. So 2 rough and 2 difficult. So if you look at it, it's got to be 4 pieces. And it could be a variety of different things. But I've only got 3 of the largest compulsories in a field, which is also a compulsory. Now I have these hard plates that can also be large compulsories. So that's going to be enough. Now, alternatively, they could be rocky ground, which those can serve as rocky ground. Brush, they can serve as brush. They can serve as vineyards, orchards. Now I already have 2 large hills. I have a village. I have a town. Those count towards the compulsories. Now I'm thinking I want, even though villages and towns, they don't have to be compulsory, they could be optional as well. That's why I'm thinking of making a couple of smaller villages and towns, um, just in case someone wanted to put a smaller town out there instead of a maximum town. Now the plowed fields, I've got the flexible one here. I also have the hard one. I'm not going to have 100% possibilities. I'd love to have like 8 mountains in case somebody wanted to put a bunch of mountains on the table, or 8 marshes, or 8 gullies, or whatever. But I'm just not going to do that. It's going to be a pick with what's available. The boundaried fields. If somebody wanted to put a crop out like this and then just nominate it as boundaried, I can always pull out some hedges and lay them along the outer edge, or dirt wall. I'm sorry, like stone walls or something like that, and we'll just call it a boundaried field. I do not have any sandy ground, waddy, or sand dunes. And I know that there are like rivers and streams that can flow through the map, but those are only scenario driven, specific battles that maybe a referee is running might put a stream in the battle. But when it comes to like a competitive game, tournament style game, streams and rivers aren't used. And tall crops. Okay. We can still use these tiles like these, right? And then I would just take some of my floor mat squares and I'd put them out there to represent the fact that they're tall crops. If it's, I have some trees that I need to make up that would make an orchard, because in an orchard I would think they would be like fruit trees or olive trees or something like that, where they were growing in rows. And so I need to put together some fruit trees to put on in rows, which I don't have. I need to work on that. Actually, I have a handful of those, but not enough for me to feel like I've got enough. And there's nothing like bocage or anything like that. That's not something that happened during, wouldn't be on a Meg battlefield. You might consider that a boundaried field, because it'll have hedges and walls around them. And after 800, that's when the boundaried fields provide cover. Before that, they're just fields. And most of the games that I'm playing are, well, that's not true. My Roman games are pre-800, but my 100 Years of War battle, that's after 800. All right, guys. Well, I am ending this series of videos right here. I hope you enjoyed going on this journey with me, making all this flexible terrain out of felt. I really like felt terrain. It's cheap, it's easy to make, and on the table it serves a very practical purpose, and I think it can look good, especially, like these rivers or a woods. I'm of course going to put trees on top of that. Plowed fields. I think anything that's like a flat area piece of terrain, I think felt works really good. If it's like a built up area, like a village or a town or something like that, I think I'm going to stick with my MDF hardboard. All right, and don't forget that you can check out my eBay store where I've got a lot of miniatures for sale there. You can also hit me up on my email where I can quote you a price if you need a commission done. Yeah, and don't forget to check out my X where sometimes I'll put up videos on there where I'll post a poll or something like that. All right, well, thank you for coming out and checking this out, and I will catch you in the next one.